a lot of our listeners are just considering cybersecurity as a career and don't know what they want to start with. But like, what sort of things should you be learning or studying or getting involved with if you want to sort of prepare yourself to possibly move toward a career in digital forensics?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And there's no one right answer, which is maybe confusing, but also good for people who,
Yeah.
have taken one path or another and they want to get into this. At my current company, we hire from a very wide variety of backgrounds. At Crypsis, the traditional computer science, study of information systems, that's very helpful. And some universities now even have digital forensic undergrad curriculum. For example, Champlain College has a great program. A University of Southern California here in Los Angeles, where I am, has a great program. And so that's one thing. But I think more critical, more important than just the kind of technical subject matter is that ability to think critically, and to have those technical skills, but also to combine that with very strong communication skills, because you're engaging with clients who are having these problems. So it's one thing to be able to dive deep and do the technical, but it's another skill that needs to be combined with that to communicate and to correspond with the people that you're working with, whether it's attorneys or whether it's the victim of a cyber attack.
Can you give me some, it doesn't have to be a specific example, but some sort of examples of the type of sort of problem solving skills you need to be using on a daily basis in terms, like you said, if all the data has been, deleted at the last minute or because they know something's in there or whatever, like what are some of the problem solving skills you have to sort of bring to bear to say like, well, this thing's not here, but how do I get it here?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that I see very often, it's very common with people earlier in their career, but even experienced practitioners, one of the hardest challenges is how do I wade through so much data, right? Yeah. Like even one hard drive, you've got, maybe it's a terabyte hard drive. If you are looking at unallocated space or all of the event logs, you've got millions of entries, and you could scroll through that data for days, just one drive. And investigations nowadays are commonly hundreds of hard drives, hundreds of endpoints, thousands even. Wow. And so what I see is that people really get overwhelmed even when they've got one drive. And how do I find the signal and the noise? And even when they're kind of educated on the different artifacts or places to look, they find what we see is like people will kind of like try and go through them serially, and again, just very quickly get overwhelmed. And so that's part of the really a good skill to learn is like how do you filter through all that stuff to answer the questions that you have.
Okay. So is that a sort of thing where you need to sort of get familiar with certain type of tools that can help you, or are there just sort of like instinctual things that you say, oh, well, if there's that many thousands and thousands of potential, inputs or whatever, like what do you do?
Yeah. So the answer comes to what's been helpful for me is starting with the end in mind and thinking about it. Okay, like here's the question, the problem I'm trying to solve. Like, and let's make up an example. So let's say that our client is worried that somebody stole information from, they were at a company, they left that company, and they went and they've now started a competing business, and our client is worried that they stole information on their way out the door. Okay. So in that scenario, you can try and sift through every, byte on a hard drive, or you can think like, okay, if they did that, how would they do that? Maybe they would plug in a USB drive. Okay. If they plugged in a USB drive, what artifacts would that create on the system? Mm-hmm. And then looking specifically for those artifacts, well, that would create something called, a link file. There'd be a link file and there'd be an entry in the registry hive that reflects connection of that drive. And so what it comes down to is basically having different hypotheses about things that would manifest themselves, and then looking for those and testing those theories one by one to assess whether or not something happened on a computer.
So that's good old-fashioned deductive reasoning, then, basically.
Yeah, that's an investigative skill, absolutely. But the challenge is to keep that focus in mind and not get bogged down.
New episodes of Cyberwork are available every Monday at 1 p.m. Central. And don't forget to claim your free month of Infosec skills. Sign up using the code CYBERWORK and you'll get unlimited access to hundreds of courses, hands-on labs, certification practice exams, skills assessments, and more. Use code CYBERWORK for Infosec skills.